Welcome, friends, to Lashes.Love Technology. I am your host, hip hop engineer. So for today's episode, I am joined by Brittiney Jones. Brittany is a diversity and inclusion consultant here at Oracle. So when I went to Brittany's page, right, to look up her title and make sure that I had the right stuff, I want to read to you what she had on there. And it's a quote by Michelle Obama. And it says, "For every door that's been opened to me, I've tried to open my door to others. And here is what I have to say finally. Let's invite one another in. Maybe then we can begin to be fearless, to make fewer wrong assumptions, to let go of biases and stereotypes that unnecessarily divide us." So why are we doing this show today? Well, I wrote an open letter to HR last year here at Oracle after the killing of George Floyd. I knew deep down in my soul that I needed to do more. I didn't know what that was. And I knew that at work, I wasn't being my full authentic self. So in this letter, I didn't complain. I tried to offer solutions, even though I didn't really know what that solution was. And the only solution I could think of was my time. So I got connected with Brittany then. And, I really like to, she's going to kill me for saying this, but I like to think of Brittany as the Beyonce of Oracle. Not for her moves, although I'm sure she's got some moves. I know you got some moves, Brittany. But it's because she does work here at Oracle to bring HBCUs and more. And she's going to tell us about that today. And before I go on, what is an HBCU? For those of you who don't know, it stands for a historically Black college and university. Brittany, the Beyonce of Oracle, is bringing HBCUs into the spotlight the same way that Beyonce did when she performed at Coachella in 2018. So the title of this show is Homecoming. It's both a nod to that show that Beyonce did, and it is one of my favorites, and a nod to the rich history of these homecomings for HBCUs. Brittany, really long introduction. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So Brittany, tell me, diversity and inclusion consultant, what is that? What is it exactly that you're doing here at Oracle?
Sure. So as a diversity inclusion consultant, I support Oracle Cloud Infrastructure in creating their diversity inclusion strategy. I also lead our executive sponsorship for historical Black colleges and universities, as well as our global diversity ambassador program. So prior to working within diversity inclusion, when I first joined Oracle, I was actually leading North American diversity's recruiting strategy for the professional organization as a senior diversity recruiting program manager. And then I was tapped to support our compliance and legal team, followed by becoming a diversity inclusion consultant. So I think in turn, that's kind of how I got to where I'm at. And it really just explains a lot of the work that I'm doing.
And it's great work. So, okay, so now that you're a D&I consultant, I do a fair amount of reading. And one of my favorite books, it's a book that I read when I took an African-American history class in college. And it's called The Souls of Black Folks. The author, is, of course, W.E.B. Du Bois. It talks about double consciousness. So double consciousness, or two-ness, right? Because I actually talk to my kids about this as well. It is the psychological challenge that African Americans like myself experience of always looking at oneself and measuring yourself through the eyes of the oppressor, right? And what W.B. Du Bois says is when you're looking at yourself through the eyes of the oppressor, it's how you feel from a nation that looks at you in contempt. Now, I want you to talk to the viewers about your personal experiences about this. Now, we had a conversation a few Fridays ago, and you know what we talked about.
Yes.
It's important. Brittany, share with our viewers, please.
Yeah, this is heavy. And this is a much larger topic, so I'm going to do my best to provide all of my thoughts, Kay, so bear with me. But,
Yes.
when I think about that statement, I'll say that in some work environments, it can feel like you have very little room for mistakes or that you're being judged on a different scale. And the ones that, speaking for myself, right, the ones that typically judge in these scenarios, and me, or that's in charge, right, the senior leaders, the decision makers, often don't look like me. Okay.
Okay.
My future career path, the folks that are judging where I go, again, they're not a reflection of who I am. And so knowing that and understanding the power of media and the power of influencers and how they reflect African Americans, I know that there's going to be some bias going into that room, having these types of conversations. And so I've personally felt that I've had to conform to social norms. That I can't be myself because I'm trying to be like the decision makers or the majority in the room. So for example, natural hair, right? Having to articulate every single word clearly. Because the moment that I mess up, and Kate, we spoke about this, I just felt like I'm under a microscope because for that very moment, that one time that I do something wrong, I'm now a reflection of the African Americans on TV that may be portrayed as ghetto or other preconceived notions, right? That can come in various formats from the media. But I had a personal example. So when I first graduated from school, undergrad, I went into the sales workforce and I had worn a wrap around my hair. And a lot of African American women, they wear these wraps.
I do as well.
Exactly, to protect your hair, depending on what that looks like at the time. And I was called ghetto. Sorry, just thinking about it, it's still painful. But
Sorry.
It took me 6 years to wear my natural hair again in the work environment. And so you begin to doubt yourself and you start thinking like, am I supposed to be here? Is this space for me? And so when you talk about that statement by W.B. Du Bois, that's immediately what comes to mind for me is just figuring out how do I navigate a field that may not have been meant for me, but still feeling like I have ownership here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's imposter syndrome. And I remember when we were talking about it, I shared with you, a lot of times that is something that we're putting on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Where no one's asking you to do that, but it's almost like you feel compelled to. And
Right.
imposter syndrome, part of the way to sort of break out from that is to separate the feelings from the fact. And we're going to talk about that today. So, what's your advice, right? If people are having these feelings, how do you break out of that?
I think the first thing is just talking about it, being vulnerable and sharing what it is that you're experiencing, because you never know who else is experiencing similar feelings, right?
So
when you and I had that conversation, you sharing your knowledge and expertise and what's kind of gotten you to where you are influenced my future behaviors. And now I have a better idea of how to grasp, and be more confident in those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is getting a mentor who doesn't look like you. I think oftentimes we tend to lean on folks that look like ourselves, right? And
Yes.
So getting that perspective of someone who is coming from another cultural environment to understand these sensitivities.
I love it. I love it. Mentoring is so key. And yeah, like when you're looking for a mentor, you tend to want to look for someone that you may sort of instantly feel comfortable, but that may not actually be the person who is the best mentor.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also why I'm super excited to be leading our HBCU executive sponsorship, right? Because now we have a way to increase that representation. We can reach back into the business to folks that have attended HBCUs like Howard, North Carolina A&T, and bring those folks in and be a representation of what we have here at Oracle and how we are enhancing diversity.
Brittany, I will tell you, when I heard that there was such a notion as an executive sponsor, right, for an HBCU, I was like, wait, where? What? Can you tell me a little bit more about that program? Because what you have done is outstanding and people need to know about it.
Thank you. So Oracle's made the commitment to invest in building long-term relationships with historical Black colleges and universities. And what we want to do is provide students with three things. We want to provide them with access, knowledge, and opportunity. And how we do that is through this program we've established with our senior executives to be the HBCU sponsors. So we partner with executives to sponsor schools, again, like Howard, North Carolina A&T, Tennessee State University, Fisk. And they're coming in and meeting with the deans and the presidents of these schools to understand how best we can provide them with different resources based on their curriculums and how that relates to the department here at Oracle. And then in turn, we're developing strategic initiatives like Oracle named labs, various academic scholarships, coding camps, Oracle Skill Up Leadership Academy, so that these students not only have the education about our tools and products here at Oracle, but we're also providing a sense of community and knowledge in the tech space so that they come in having that network from day one and an understanding of the interview process and how best to navigate the field here at Oracle. So it really just goes beyond just giving donations in dollars, Kay. We really want to focus on embedding Oracle's footprint in our influencing behaviors and really how these universities are thinking.
What is so great about that is what you just said, right? It's more than donating dollars. To me, I think something that is much more valuable, right, is time.
I agree. And we're also, to your point, planting seeds and watering them over time to really start opening doors for more opportunity. And then we can empower that advancement for students and underrepresented minorities, again, not just here at Oracle, but overall within all industries. So super excited for the work that we're doing and where we're going to go with this in the future.
Okay, so I need to know, because you said that this is not just something that is important at Oracle. Can you just share with the viewers, why is diversity and inclusion so important in the tech space?
Because it's about creating more innovative products and services that are going to appeal to our customers, right? And when you think about the market share, it consists of all ethnicities and genders. So I think, these are the things that we have to start thinking about. And as we're hiring a more diverse workforce, we're beginning to see more innovation in our technology for the customers that we're creating.
I love it. It's so focused on the future, right? And looking at how society is morphing and changing and adapting to that, instead of just saying, well, this is the way that we always did it, so we're going to do it this way.
Exactly. And our talent pool is going to grow.
Okay. It is question time. I need some advice. Okay. If you were to write a Post-it note, I don't think I have any Post-it notes, but if you were to write one and put it on the monitor of one of our listeners today to encourage them, what would it say?
Each one teach one. Are you familiar with that saying?
Of course I am.
I figured you would be. It's an African proverb that started here, originated in the United States, and it means to spread knowledge for the betterment of the community. And so when you learn something, is now your responsibility to teach someone else. And that is what I would give as advice to everyone that's listening in, is as you're learning new things on this call, within the organization, within other companies, teach someone else, pull them up, and help them be the next leader.
I have nothing else to say. You dropped the mic. Brittany, you are fantastic. And, diversity is something that you just hear it, right?
Yeah.
That inclusion part that you're doing, so key. Thank you so much for sharing your world. Thank you so much for changing our world. I look forward to the work that we will continue to do together on this journey. That each one teach one, that is it. It is the only way that we can continue to improve our society, enhance it, and leave it better for our children and grandchildren. So I appreciate you and thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Kay.
So friends, make sure that you tune in to our next exciting episode. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to this channel. You can follow me at Hip Hop Engineer on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Until next time, my friends. So I'm going to keep saying it until you do it. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Brittany's doing it write the rules, develop a new script, take care of yourself and each other. This is Lashes.Love Technology. Be well. Thanks, Brittany.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.